Alright, now I'm going to be explaining a possible use for delegates, not events, but actual delegates. So I have here, this is the tank game that I made in a Unity class. So I play the game, and I'm on keyboard right now. So that right there is an enemy tank. It has a very complex finite state machine built with just C sharp. When I walk in front of it, it changes the state and starts doing the attack state and all that. Now, um, I'm just going to be talking about how the state machine works, not really how the AI works. So essentially, what I've done is this is an AI scout. So this is one possible AI personality. I have a few things that you need to know so you can understand how this works. So there are these things called I states, and this is just a possible state. An I state is just any object that has a tick function to do the work of a state. It has an on begin, an on end, and it has a state name. I made this into a function. You don't have to do that. There's probably other ways to do it. This state name is just used to determine which state is which, you know. So some possible states that I have a chase state. I have an attack state. What attack state does is it whenever you tick the attack state, it just gets the shooter and it tries to shoot. That's all the attack state does. I have a chase state, and what the chase state does is it just tries to chase the player. So every frame it tries to chase the player. It changes the AI targeter, because the way the AI moves, because it uses drifting, there's an empty that's moving around, and if you move the empty towards something, the AI will just automatically like drift towards that. So there's some other videos on my channel that you can watch to see how that works. But anyways, just know that a state is basically it's just a state that a state machine can be in. And so what you do inside of an AI personality is every single frame you have the state machine that's inside of the base AI controller. You just tell it to tick. But before you do that, you have to give the state machine a whole bunch of states. So I define all of my states. I create the new patrol states, the attack states, the chase states, and I give them the information they need. So, for instance, the attack state needs to have a tank shooter, so I give it that. But the state machine doesn't know that these are all different states. It just knows that they're all I states. So the state machine will go through every single frame you tick this. It will tick whatever state it currently has. But the delegates, so we're talking about delegates here, are in these transitions. So specifically, I've defined a new class called transition. And so what transition is, that it's encapsulating a state, a reference to a state to go to, and it's a func bool to go for as the condition for going there. So this func bool is a delegate. This is a function that returns a boolean for true or false. That's all it is. So when I create a new transition, I give it a state to transition to, and I give it a func bool to be the condition. So, for instance, here we are. So when I create a transition, however, when we're talking about actual transitions, it actually needs three things. It needs a state to come from. Yeah, so an actual transition will need a state to come from, a state to go to, and then a boolean for transitioning. So I tell it, go to the chase state from the patrol state when you see the player. And see player is inside the base AI. See player sees, yeah, here. Sees player is just a boolean. So I could have put all of this into a lambda expression and done an inline anonymous function, but my base AI has this function for sees player, and it does all the logic for that. It returns true or false. So my AI state machine, my AI scout, I tell it to transition to the chase state from the patrol state when it sees the player. Internally, what this state machine is doing is it is adding that transition to a list of transitions. And then every time we tick the state machine, it's going to go through all those transitions, and it's going to see if that func bool is true or not. And if it's true, it's going to do the transition. We're going to set the state, and we're going to do everything that we need to do to change the current state, and then we're just going to tick the current state if we have one. And that's actually just how the entire AI works. It's that simple, really. But we're just mainly talking about the... I got hit a little bit because there's an enemy that spawned behind. Yeah, so it saw me. It went into the attack state. Now, the reason it's not actually chasing me is because internally I set the sort of chase distance really, really long, and I never went back and changed that. So it sort of just goes into the attack state. So it'll go from the... Yeah, let's open this back up. AI Scout. Now, this isn't even an AI Scout, but this is the AI Scout sort of explains it well. So it'll go from the patrol state to the chase state. Now, that thing was actually an idle state, but you could as easily change this from like a patrol state to an idle state. So it'll transition to chase state from idle state when it sees the player. And then if you're chasing the player and you can attack them, then it will... If you're chasing the player and you can't attack them, then it will transition to the attack state. It's really that simple. And these Boolean expressions are inserted into a transition as the funcable condition. So, yeah, you can think of methods and functions themselves as a form of data that you can pass around to objects. And so in this case, my canAttack function is a function that I'm just passing around as sort of a variable that my other things can use. So if I made any Boolean function, I could pass it into one of these, and it would essentially be the condition for transitioning from one state to the other. Any Boolean that returns true or false can be a transition as my func bool. So delegates are really, really powerful, and understanding them has made me learn a lot. By the way, this AI state machine architecture is from Jason Wyman on YouTube. I recommend checking him out. I learned a lot from his videos. Anyways, bye-bye.